GregTech New Horizons has approximately 14 energy tiers, from surviving the Stone Age to harnessing the power of a simulated universe. Today's episode is somewhere in the middle, and by the middle, I mean we just crawled out of the Steam Age and are experiencing unheard of levels of technological poverty. For us, this poverty is called low voltage, which is the first era of electricity and electric machines. In LV, our goal is to acquire resources, craft single block machines, and then use these machines to create an electric blast furnace, which we'll use to make aluminum and MV circuits. My name is Nine, and it is once again time to sit back, relax, and enjoy watching me suffer on Superflat survival in Minecraft's hardest mod pack. That is, after liking, subscribing, and maybe commenting something silly down below. But once you've done that, let's get started. Day 12 was my first day back after traveling to Korea, so we took it slow and crafted the new vending machine multi-block. Before 2.9, coins rewarded from the quest book could be exchanged in a little tab called Coins, which was a little janky and hard to use. The new vending machine not only allows the player to store coins rewarded from the quest book, but also to spend them on specific items that you can unlock through quest book completion, like cables and diodes. We also made a clipboard from the mod Bibliocraft, one of my favorite little organizational items, which we used to plan ahead for day 13. Yesterday, I needed to get a bunch of stuff to make our first 3 LV machines, which we're going to make, and I got all of the required resources via XP crafting and also trapping this one really good villager. This guy right here has chain chestplate and chain leggings. So, today we are going to get our wire mill, our bender, our assembler, and then we're going to use our assembler and our bender to upgrade our storage. The first important machine is to get the basic wire mill, and this thing creates wires from metal, and it does it at a much better rate. I think it was 2 ingots to 1 wire, and now it's 1 to 2. So it's like 4 times better roughly. So let's go craft that out. That should make our first ever low voltage machine, which is the basic wire mill. I love this thing. Oh my god, that quest is so huge. Okay, so the way this works is a steam turbine makes 1 amp, which is a packet of 32 EU per every tick. This wire mill can take up to 32 EU per tick. And so I'm going to plug this into this cable, and this basic wire mill is now powering up using this basic steam turbine. I do believe we can put our little circuit 1 in here, and that should start printing out copper wire. Look at that go. We can also use a wrench to dictate what side is the output side. For example, I could do that, and then we can do item auto output, which would just shove them out. Normally you'll do this into like a chest or an inventory and it'll go directly there, but I don't feel like making a barrel right now, which is our only option. So we need to make now a basic bending machine. And then, is that everything? That is literally everything. Boo, he's bad. We want a bender. Here is our LV bending machine. Very nice. Saving metal with bending. The bender is pretty revolutionary for a couple of different things. Before this, our only way to get rubber sheets was a 2-to-1 recipe in the alloy smelter. Right now, we have a new recipe that we can use, which is the bender recipe. And again, we're going to use our programmed circuits, circuit 1. And look how fast that is, and that's 1-to-1. We need to make a couple more steel plates, and that is okay. 1-to-1 recipe, pretty quick at what it does. Better than our forge hammer previously. Look at that thing. Beautiful. And now we can go on to the big boy, which is the assembling machine. This thing is used for all sorts of recipes. Like when I say all sorts, I mean it. There are 6,404 different recipes in the LV assembler alone. The low voltage assembler is an expensive but very important machine in GregTech. Each assembler takes 2 robot arms, which each contain 1 circuit, 1 piston, and 2 motors. Although this is quite expensive, GTNH is very good about rewarding you for making tech investments. I'd like to quickly highlight a couple of recipes that get much better in the assembler. First off is chests and hoppers, which get an overall complexity reduction as well as a cost reduction in the assembler. Also worth looking into is the assembler recipe for wooden planks and vacuum tubes, which get much cheaper but add fluids to the craft. The assembler will later be required to make the electric blast furnace multi-block, which we will need to progress into MV. And that should be everything we need to make our first assembler at low voltage. These 3 machines are exactly what you want as soon as you start low voltage, and I mean, I'll show you why in a bit, but let's grab this. And there we go, our last machine for today. I'm just gonna slap this down right here. We are going to use this assembling machine to upgrade our main storage, and there's a couple of recipes that I want to go over. I'm gonna make some barrels today. The old barrel recipe is this, which is really annoying. These wood planks take a really long time to make. And then also these iron barrels and the steel barrels are much cheaper in the assembler than they are in the shaped crafting. Those are the 2 things we're gonna leverage with the assembler currently, and then yeah. One thing that we haven't done is made the golden lasso in the assembler. So I am going to figure out what we need to make this happen, which shouldn't be that much. We just put ender pearls and fine gold wire into the assembling machine, and that should be our first couple of golden lassos. These things are fantastic. I'll show you exactly what they do. Donkey, you're mine. That was weird. But now Donkey is stored within the golden lasso, and I can like put him in a backpack and deploy him when I need him, essentially. These have no durability. They're very chillax. They're very good for moving things like villagers and all passive mobs. Whoa, 2 enchanted crops loot bags. Enough said. Little nickel ore, some crop sticks. No way, chat. No way. I cannot explain to you how good it is that we just got that. Let me show you what else we have that makes that incredibly balling. So if you have been following the Superflat series, we gambled a couple of basic crop managers, which are a very, very low chance in the crop loot bag. And this will allow us to power our basic crop manager. So I am gonna get some glass in that case, and we're gonna set up a farm. Why not? I don't have any ladders, and I sure as hell am not crafting more. Maybe I'll go out later and just raid some from villages, because I cannot be caught dead making that recipe. Chat, I forgot something very important here. I'm feeling a little stupid right now. Essence ore berries grow on top of cobblestone, so gotta redo all that. Good job, 9. I do think I'm gonna need to farm a lot of skulls. I'm not really sure. Chat, do you guys have any ideas on the fastest way to repeatedly die in order to farm out my own head? Spawn up high and fall damage. That's true. I could just put my bed really high and then die repeatedly. I'm gonna keep it a $1.50 and I'll replace this bottom layer on my own time. What I want to do right now is probably focus on putting in some water tanks so that way these can auto water my plants. And that should be 2 water tanks, which I think will probably be enough. Why does it have 199 water? Wait, isn't that a little too much?
Welcome back. For this next segment, we spend a while jumping off a tower to create dirt block.
Sorry, feeling a little bit foul. For this next segment, we spend a little time jumping off a tower to create some skulls, specifically the Soul 9 variety, which are required as undersoil blocks for our essence ore berries. I did get a little ahead of myself there, so let me explain what just happened. While browsing through random crops loot bags, we happened upon a 1% chance gamble for an LV solar panel, something that we can't even make until late MV. This solar panel can be used to passively supply the energy needed for a crop manager, which waters and harvests crops within its range. Having fully passive XP ore berries is really strong and kind of derails, or more appropriately, re-rails all of my plans to generate resources, but more on that on day 14. Welcome back, everybody. Today is day, I think, 14 of Superflat survival. Let me just update you on what I did yesterday on my own time. I ended up, as you can see, jumping off our little thing a little bit more to get the skulls that we needed. So I did a little off-screen suiciding. Let's get rid of all of those. And I finished the entire oreberry farm. I like set it up yesterday and I realized that this thing makes way too many essence berries, like so many essence berries that we should definitely set up some passive processing for this because this thing goes way too hard in the paint. So today I have designed something that is very low voltage friendly that can convert these essence ore berries passively into the multiple different recipes that we have for XP buckets. This uses some pretty janky technology and we'll get into that later, but I think today we should just start out with a crafting montage and then I'm going to do probably the jankiest redstone you have ever seen to turn that into a very cheap auto crafting setup. You know, there's a remove all waypoints button. I do now. I think I can just auto-craft this, so I'm just gonna do it, chat. Get ready for a very satisfying auto-craft. I don't know where they went. Oh, there we go. They all went into our storage. Let's go. What we have on our checklist is I need to make 2 more LV machines. The lathe, which is my least favorite machine in all of GregTech. And let me go back and explain the Lathe Slander. So the lathe here, when making rods, takes 1 ingot and makes 1 rod and 2 of these annoying ass little pieces of dust, which is never helpful, like almost never helpful. The thing that really pisses me off is that the extruder, which handles a whole bunch of other recipes, just does this better. And I know it's MV and not an LV recipe, so you're just doing it for a tier, but there are 14 tiers in the game. And throughout all 14 tiers, the lathe, which its only purpose is to make rods, is worse than the all-purpose extruder. But we have to make it today because we need to make some ender pearl screws. And in order to make that, we need a lathe. There's no way around this silly lathe. And that should be our lathe, our basic lathe. Produces rods more efficiently. No, you don't. I know you're lying. An anonymous gifter gave Lathe a tier 1 sub. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of fucked up, honestly. That's so funny. So let's just chuck that in there. The lathe doesn't really need any circuits or anything. It's just a slow ass, horrible little machine. The other thing we need to do while that happens is we need to go grab our second LV machine of today. We got our lathe, so it's centrifuge time. An anonymous gifter gifted Lathe of Heaven a tier 1 sub. Y'all are ridiculous. 2 magnetic rods, 2 electric motors, and straight into our basic centrifuge. This bad boy is used to centrifuge things, as it says on the tin. I'm not really sure if the LV centrifuge is really necessary to get out of LV. I think what the quest book says is that it's for making hydrogen and for glue. I think you need that for circuit boards though. Yeah, you need some type of glue to make circuit boards, the next tier of circuit boards. So I guess we needed it eventually. I only need 50 liters of refined glue for what I'm doing today. So I'm just gonna leave it at that actually. I don't know how I'm gonna get the glue into the assembler actually. We might as well do this right now while we're here. Probably should have thought this through. We need to make some paperboard, which is 2 pieces of paper and refined glue on circuit 2. I guess we could auto output this into some sort of liquid pipe and then directly into the assembler. Let's give this a try. I think this might work. This might work. I don't... Let's get... oh, it's the face. Alright, I can change the facing direction by crouching and right-clicking. And then that, and then I change the output direction here. Fluid auto output. Perfect. Works like a charm. Chum burger. Oh my god, why am I sick and nauseous? Uh-oh. Do not eat the chum burger. Lesson learned. I have done all of the crafting. We are at the portion where I am now going to show you this horrifying abomination of an automation that will turn our essence ore berries that we are farming over here directly into items that we can get through XP crafting. That is copper dust, tin dust, nickel dust, and a whole slew of different stuff. So, within my inventory exists hopefully every single thing you'll need to set this up, and I know you're seeing some really weird stuff going on here, like an oak boat and a minecart. Just bear with me and then I will explain to you everything. Let's get started. Right here is the area that we need for our boat clock, and yes, I mean a boat clock. So I'm gonna get this set up here. We need to get a little area here and put 2 pressure plates and then oak fences all the way around. Within this, we're gonna put water here and water here, and we can just put our boat down at this point. And as you can see, that creates a nice little cycling redstone clock for us to get a very slow repeated signal out of right there. When the boat passes over every, like, I don't know, what is that, like 7 seconds or so? It's beautiful. This is beautiful. And then we just hook this up to our machinery, which I will definitely remember how this all goes. So we're gonna take the signal here and bring that all the way up here, and that's gonna lock a hopper later. We're also gonna take a redstone torch and put this here for later use. The auto crafting bench goes right here, and our hopper, oh, we're missing hoppers. Do not forget hoppers. We need 2 or 3 hoppers, maybe 2. Okay, so we placed our hopper facing our auto crafting bench, and then I'm going to put one of our ultra low voltage fluid tanks down and put an XP drain on top of that. That should be good, and then we just need to chuck some glass around here for our viewing pleasure. Not there. That's awesome. I also need to place this block placer above the XP drain, and the way this thing works is it just right-clicks a block, and I think technically you just chuck XP ore berries into this and give it a redstone signal, and it just creates XP orbs on the ground, which is awesome. It's perfect for our application here. Below the auto crafting bench, we're going to use our transfer nodes, and these actually do respond to redstone and are shut off by redstone torches, so we're gonna leverage that to our advantage here. This will be the output with the item that we want, and then this will be where our buckets go. So I'm currently gonna put 3 buckets straight into here, and put a drawer key down there. The buckets need to loop back into the ultra low voltage fluid tank eventually. I am not gonna set this up until all of our wiring is done yet, but I will eventually. What else do we need to do? We need to make another clock here. This is another very janky clock that I am so in love with. So you're gonna make this L shape plus the oak fence, put an oak pressure plate right here, and then 2 tracks, and then you can get rid of 1. The minecart goes here, and you can see every second it hits this pressure plate, which we're gonna leverage, obviously. The problem with this is that it actually outputs a constant redstone signal. So in order to get the pulse that I'm looking for, you need a block update detector in order to actually measure that redstone signal, which, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to take a redstone line out of that, and that is going to be our clock for our block placer. The block placer is going to use our XP ore berries every 1 second just to keep up with the speed of the crafting bench and the clock here. I think this is mostly set up. There's 3 more things we have to do, one of which is that we need to snake our way into here and grab our essence ore berries and distribute them to our block placers. So I'm gonna go do that real quick. We're gonna get tin item pipes and use that to export, or I guess import items into the pipe network is the correct way to say this. So I'm gonna crouch and right click the item pipe on the side that we have added the conveyor belt and set that to import. And you should see that will pull in 16 of these ore berries at a time. And I am going to just bring that all the way out here. You can see that the pieces of the puzzle are coming together here as the ore berries are coming into the block placer, and then the block placer is getting ticked every 1 second, and the XP is pulling up into this ultra low voltage fluid tank. It's kind of perfect. It's kind of perfect. One thing that is a glaring thing that I'm missing is we need to grab this project bench. I'm going to put this in the ground right here. I'm going to program this to the copper dust recipe and get my recipe plan, and we do not want to claim this because that actually crafts it. What we want to do is press this feather button, and then we get the copper dust recipe plan. So now that we have our copper recipe plan in, whenever we get 3 XP buckets into the internal inventory of this auto crafting bench, what it's going to do is it's going to craft these out into a copper dust. And what I'm going to do real quick is chuck this copper dust in here and lock this. Every time the boat comes around, it's going to empty our buckets back into here and our copper dust that we make back into here. The final step of this is to add a conveyor belt here on import. Import. The buckets go right back into the ultra low voltage fluid tank, turning into XP buckets, popping into here, and then we get passive copper. You see that? Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Oh my god. The reason we have such a complicated circuit for this is it's an annoying issue. The issue is that the auto crafting bench from Project Red, the input and the output inventory are the same. So if I tried to put XP buckets in here and just randomly pull out whatever outputs, it would try to pull out the XP buckets, and I don't have access to very robust filtering items right now. So the logistics that I have to use to do this is I need to turn off the hoppers that feed the XP every once in a while to ensure that all 3 XP buckets make it, it does the craft, and then we're ready to extract items for a little period of time. But the moral of the story is that now we have fully passive XP crafting using this lovely, janky, beautiful automation. But let's go set that up again for the other side. And then I can do that. Okay. It's working. It's working! So, we finally have it. This is our fully automatic XP ore berry crafting, very cheaply made in LV. Oh my god. Today, I'm excited for today. Today is a good day, as Ice Cube once said. Yesterday we set up a fully passive XP auto crafter in LV, and boy, I'm going to show you guys what we got from it because it's a little insane. 4K copper, 4K redstone, 3.6K nickel, 3.2K iron, 2.2K sulfur, a whole 4,000 tin dust. And the whole system is on a backlog of essence berries at this point. We're going extra. So this system I might do this in a normal world from now on because god damn, that is so easy to set up. And I did make a little bit of a change. So if you followed along and built this, I had a kind of epiphany on how to stop the XP orbs from piling up on top of the grate. And what I did on my free time is I went and did some quests without you. I'm so sorry. I got a basic fluid extractor so we could make a fluid detector cover. And what I have this doing is every time this ultra low voltage fluid tank is above 30,000 XP, I shut off this torch clock. So basically it only tops off the XP when we absolutely need it to, and then when we don't, it doesn't create excess XP orbs. So unfortunately, to make that fluid detector cover, we do need molten tin. And yeah, there's not much I could do about that. So I did have to craft one more block without you guys, but it is now fully pretty much fully independent. I just need to get bigger storage. So we are so rich, and with those resources today, I want to go back and improve our steam line. I want to both generate more steam, I want to hold it in a container so that way we have a buffer of it, and then I want to make some steam multi-blocks. And the steam multi-block that I want to start with today is the steam hearth. This is a new multi-block in 2.9. It is a furnace, blaster, and smoker. It has 8 parallels. It goes 1.25 times as fast. I don't know what the baseline is. It uses less steam, and it can even go into blasting and smoking modes, which doubles the speed and steam usage of a specific type, like metals or food items. So this thing is going to be a godsend, and it will allow me to convert all this copper and tin and iron into ingots really quickly. I definitely want to set this up first. Before grabbing the steam hearth, we first need to upgrade our steam production capacity. Most of these upgrades could have been done last tier, but because we waited, we now have an arsenal of resources and processing machines to make these upgrades as painless as possible. First on the list is upgrading my Railcraft steam boiler to the 2x2x2 variant, which takes an hour to fully heat up but produces 6,400 liters of steam per second, which is enough to power 4 LV steam turbines. Additionally, we make a Railcraft iron tank to buffer excess steam and give a little more allowance for crafting when our boiler is shut off. All of this improvement has me hankering for an LV battery buffer, which leads us on quite an adventure. And then I kind of want like a battery buffer situation soon, but I'm thinking about it, and it's going to be very hard to get batteries. I think I need to make an electrolyzer and then get salt and then electrolyze that for sodium. And not only that, we need to get battery alloy, which we need to make out of lead. And lead is actually very hard for us to source right now. I'm interested in seeing if maybe perhaps we can go exploring today to get some lead for a new battery buffer, because that would be pretty ballin', actually. We have 3 lead ingots and we have 2 antimony from like raiding villages and stuff. So what we would need to do is find, I think, like 5 more lead ingots. So we might go gambling today. How big of a battery buffer should I make, chat? I want to say a 4 battery buffer. I think that should be fine with what we have here. I also want to make some 4x tin cable, which we're going to use in order to transport this electricity. I think we could do that just with this recipe here. I wonder what the size of the Venn diagram intersection of people following along with GTNH Flat World and people who don't know how voltage work in GT. While that is true, I can only help people by explaining things again, right? I think making GTNH accessible is what brings it to the forefront. A lot of videos of GTNH expect you to know what's going on, and that turns off a lot of new people from giving it a try or like looking into it. And I think that's a shame, right? I think that we should encourage people to give it a try and like not feel intimidated by the systems. All right, this is going to be our low voltage battery buffer. We don't have the batteries. We're gonna get to that in a bit. For now, while we don't have any batteries, I'm just gonna do this real quick. We'll replace that bottom cable with a battery buffer eventually. And then what I'm gonna do is let's get our processing machines stacked on here. What we do need to have close is the assembling machine. That is normally running at 30 EU per tick, so we don't want to experience losses. I will put next to that the fluid extractor, because oftentimes there are assembler recipes that need fluids in them. So let's put that, and we can face the output directly into the assembler. And set it to fluid auto output. Perfect. I'll put the bender and wire mill here as well. And then lathe. And then this centrifuge I'm going to put opposite the assembler so that way we can get things like glue very easily into the assembler. And I think we're good. So now that we have all of this reset up, I think we should go get some more lead. We should go exploring, try to find as many lead ingots as we can. So let's grab Donkey here in the golden lasso, and then let's go gambling. Chat, that looks like a very bad haul for a full wizard circle. Also useless. That's awesome. It would be so awesome. It would be so cool. Wow, this is just diabolical. This is the worst loot I have seen since the loot drought of 2020. What is this? What? Steel shears? Come on, man. To the Mojang employees that put that loot into my loot table. To the GTNH devs who went out and stocked these houses. Like, I get it. You just wanted to troll me, okay? I understand. All this because I wanted to make some damn batteries. That's so diabolical. It turns out that looting lead from villages is not super profitable, so what's next? Well, it's time for our first interaction with Thaumcraft, GTNH's flagship magic mod. Within all dimensions, including the personal dimension, are Thaumcraft nodes. These little guys contain magical energy that can sometimes affect the environment around them. You may have seen hungry nodes that eat away at the blocks nearby and suck you in like a black hole, but there is potentially a much more powerful node that we can leverage. The Pure node creates the magical forest biome in the surrounding area. When light levels are low in this biome, we can spawn a Pech trader. Now, I don't know a lot about these guys, but I am told that throwing emeralds at a Pech can potentially reward me with lead and magical shards, which seems very useful. Let's see where our closest node is, and I think I see one right here. Someone pointed this out in like one of my VODs, that we have a node really close. So let's go over there and start setting up. Alright. This is our little box. Inside the box is magical forest. Ideally, this means that a Pech can spawn in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run away 100 or so blocks. I guess we could just go south and then back up north. And hopefully we'll get some spawns. If not, we'll just keep rinsing and repeating until we get what we need. Pray for me. First time Pech. Trust. I'm seeing something right there. I am so scared right now, chat. Oh, we got the quest though. Oh, this is so fucked. Holy shit. Alright, hopefully nothing just yoinks me. But over here, we have a Pech forager. Is that the Pech that I'm looking for? What type of Pech am I looking for? Holy shit. Ooh, 2 Pechs. 1 Pech forager. Another Pech forager. Forager should do. Okay. In that case, let's try to get rid of the rest of the roof and burn off the rest of the zombies. This cannot end well. This absolutely cannot end well. Please, please. Oh my gosh. Oh. Everything's okay. How are we gonna grab these guys? It is not only like a slime-infested wasteland right now. I could try dropping the diamonds, I guess. Alright, fuck it. We might as well just release the horde, right? Oh, wait. Hold up. Oh, shit. Donkey! Oh, and my forager died. Oh, shit. No! Donkey too! Okay, well, that was, an interesting first attempt. Is there a lead ore drop in the crops loot bag? Somebody check this for me right now, because we might have had this shit the whole time. And I might just be tweaking out right now. This will be insane. This will be an insane pull, if that is the case. Okay, we do have one lead ore. Which means technically, we can grow this plumbelia. Which do you think is better, plumbelia or plum shade? Just tiny pile, and it's already processed, so all we need to do is like fertilize it and grow it. Let us set up the conditions we'll need to grow this. I'm gonna give it a little bit of space here and put this here. That'll be our undersoil block, and then our cobblestone block is the base. We're gonna be using the leaves pool, and I'm gonna use coffee seeds and huckleberry seeds to make sure it is only the leaves pool, and then we're gonna try to gamble this plum shade. While we're slowly breeding out plum shade, or whatever, let's work on our steam hearth. There's our big boy high pressure steam furnace. And that should be enough to make the steam hearth controller block. Finally, after our very long journey, we have gotten everything we need to get this steam hearth going. So let's finally assemble this bad boy. This is a new multi-block in 2.9 that allows us to do all of our smelting needs. Do that. The controller goes right there. Steel firebox over there. Oh, the steam hatch goes here. I'm just gonna do that, and that, and then steel gearbox casing. Please form. Thank the Lord Almighty. And look at this. Look at this bad boy. And point that directly into there. Our steam's filling up our steam hatch. Oh, I'm so excited to use this. Let's try this. I'm gonna get a stack of copper dust out here. I'm very curious. 3 per second is crazy. Holy moly. I wonder how much steam that's eating though, honestly. 3,200 liters per second, which is actually only half of what we're making. Oh my god, this is amazing. Before we get started on day 16, I think it would be smart to give you a crash course in how GregTech handles electricity. The electrical system in GregTech is pretty complicated, with the running joke being that you need an electrical engineering degree to understand it. Hopefully I can clear up that stereotype just a little bit. Recipes in electric machines have a rating for the time, EU per tick, and voltage tier required. The recipe to turn 1 copper ingot into 2 copper wire takes 5 seconds, uses 4 EU per tick, and requires LV energy or above. The steam turbine that we made can generate 1 packet of 32 EU every tick and send it to any machine that needs it. Because the copper wire recipe only needs 4 EU per tick, you could potentially run multiple wire mills at the same time with 1 generator. Let's take a look at another example, this time the assembler recipe for chests. This recipe is 30 EU per tick, which means that if you had 2 assemblers attached to 1 steam turbine, one of these machines would power fail, stalling the machine and wasting power refilling the buffer. If you then added a second steam turbine, your 1x tin cable that you've been using to move the electricity would burn up from overamping, likely causing an explosion when the fire ticks adjacent to your machine. You can solve this with higher amperage cable, in this case 2x tin cable that can carry 2 amps from your 2 generators. 9. What do you mean explosion? About that? There are many reasons that people think GTNH is the hardest mod pack. One of them is the consequences for not understanding its many systems, but that's why I'm here. Here are all the ways you can explode your hard-earned GregTech machines. Number 1. Rain hitting adjacent tiles to a powered GT machine or cable. It's important to note that covering just the machine block is not enough, and you need to cover the edges as well. GT machines oddly don't mind water blocks, so if you feel inclined to make Greg Lantis, go for it. Number 2. Fire on an adjacent tile to a GT machine. This is what causes explosions when cables are overloaded and burn. Number 3. Feeding energy of a higher voltage into a lower voltage machine. Technically, we don't have access to MV power yet, but when we do, powering an LV machine with an MV generator is a surefire way to cause an explosion, and is often the most common way to do so. With that out of the way, let's get back to day 16. Day 16 starts with me retrieving lead dust from our plum shade plant, which I hooked up to the crop manager. Using the lead and leftover antimony, I make 5 sodium batteries, sourcing our sodium from the salty root crop. And after setting up our battery buffer on our single block machine line, we get started on the biggest goal of LV. The electric blast furnace is one of our first flagstone multi-blocks that uses electricity. And this thing is required to progress into MV as it is the only way to make aluminum ingots. We love the EBF, he's kind of classic. He's made out of mostly Invar. And I have calculated on NEI that I need to make, how many Invar ingots? I need to make 114 at a minimum. So we have nickel and iron from XP Auto Crafting, which, surprise, surprise, I did set that up, and I might have thought about this. I believe we need to start with 11 heat-proof casings, so let's get that going. And here is our electric blast furnace controller. Let us focus now on our LV energy hatches. Oh gosh, we need to craft more machines. We need to make some lubricant cells. We gotta lube it up, chat. How expensive is a brewery? Oh gosh, chat. To make the basic brewery, to make a lubricant, as far as I can tell, this is the best or only way to do this that we can do it right now. We need both aluminum, which we can't make without the EBF, and the research for a brewing stand in Thaumcraft, which we haven't even remotely started. So that might be counted out. Oh, thank God. Okay. Oh. Chat, I was so scared for a second. Just a distillery. Everything's gonna be okay. Something tells me that we should definitely switch this over to seed or fish oil. I know canola is good for seed oil generally, and I think we have some canola seeds. Canola. Oh, we're getting a lot of canola out of this. While we wait for the lubricant to come through for our LV energy hatches, let's talk about something else that is kind of a roadblock in our progress. The thing we're going to talk about is ruby. So, in order to make copper nickel coil blocks, you can either choose mica insulator foils or aluminosilicate wool. And we actually have no access to mica right now because the only way to get mica is by grabbing it from ores, which we don't have. But the other way is aluminosilicate wool. And we can make that in a couple of different ways. Some type of silicon dioxide, and we're going to be using Certus quartz for this because that's what we have on hand, and some type of gem dust that has aluminum. So ruby is on the list, green sapphire, sapphire. This is the recipe we want, which is ruby and Certus quartz. So I was racking my brain. How are we going to get ruby in a place that doesn't spawn with ores, right? There's 3 main ways that I came up with to do this. All of them are bad. The first option is to get crops, and crops are great, but the issue is you need to have a block of ruby to begin with, right? We need to find ruby from World Gen Loot, and I did some testing, I went to other Superflat worlds, and it turns out we can get 1 to 4 ruby per witch circle at a 0.34% chance. We would have to go to over 300 witch circles just to find 1 with a 50% chance, right? The second option is scrap box farming. And I really don't like this option because it's just kind of a pain in the ass to set up. We will eventually set up scrap box farming because we need to, but right now it's kind of a huge detour out of what I envision LV to be. But, chat, when I tell you, I pretty much did the equivalent of saying Eureka at my desk last night because while I was going through NEI for different sources of ruby, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Bees make purified ruby. Let's just check and see if there's a way to get purified ruby ore. And when I saw this quest, I was so overjoyed. For the low cost of one basic LV sifting machine, we can get 64 purified ruby ore. That's the freest shit I've ever heard. So, we're gonna make one more machine today. Oh no, I didn't read. Oh shit. Can we do this? Oh, we need polyethylene. Can we still do this? Let's see. I think we could do zinc. I think so. There's like an XP craft for it, right? I'm patterning it all out. Hopefully this doesn't kill us, right? I thought this was gonna be so easy. Oh, why didn't I read one step further in NEI? All this just to avoid centrifuging redstone? Yeah, I mean, that would take 170 seconds per ruby dust. We need to do that 96 times. 4.5 hours of centrifuging. It's a quest named Spatial Distortions that gives an MV bag. The only requirement is to kill an Enderman. Hold up, chat. Hold up, chat. This is the rabbit hole, I promise. This is the right rabbit hole, I promise. Dude, if I pull 32 polyethylene on my first MV bag, like that's the dream. Come get me. Come get me. Okay, there's one. There's one. We've killed our Enderman. I claim the quest. We go all the way over to, what's it, Hardcore Ender Expansion, and it's unlocked. It's unlocked. Please. Please, please, please. Okay. We're gonna look at this. There's so many things that we could get that would actually be kind of helpful, I'm not gonna lie. The biggest one right now, 32 polyethylene bars, would be absolutely giganiminosaurus. Alright, 3, 2, 1. What is that? Oh my god. Well, you know, it is what it is. We take our W's, we take our L's, but the important part, chat, is that we had fun along the way. And remember that life is not about the destination. Life is about the many little journeys and laughs and stupid things that you do along the way that make it special. Yesterday, we were trying to get our 16 times Cupronickel coils, right? And in order to do that, we came up with a couple different pathways to get our 96 required ruby dust. After a lot of deliberation, I ended up just centrifuging out the 96 ruby dust, and I'm really sorry, Team Scrapbox, and I'm really sorry, Team Polyethylene Gamblers, who wanted me to get the sifter, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out. So what I ended up doing was actually, it's much more simpler than I thought it was. I literally just chucked a stack of diamond dust into the boiler. Speaking of, we should just, like, do that right now. And I threw in 960 redstone into our basic centrifuge, which ended up giving us the exactly required 96 ruby dust and some change. You know, a little bit of raw silicon, a little bit of pyrite. Can't complain about that. But without further ado, I think we should just get started, right? I think we should go get our EBF coils. So let's head back into the multi-block goals part of the quest book. We literally have everything but the aluminosilicate wool at this point, I think. We must have, yep, the 2 stacks of wire. We got all of this. So let's get this going in the steam alloy smelter. And that, oh my, 120 seconds? 192 minutes is diabolical. Can we make a better steam alloy smelter maybe? Alright, that should be our little steam fuser here. The little steam fuser that could. We are now going to just yoink the shit out of here. 6 seconds each. Holy moly, that's 10 times faster. That is literally 10 times faster, chat. There's our 192 aluminosilicate wool. We have everything we need. Let's get our circuit 3 in the assembler. 1, 2, 3. Copper nickel wire, aluminosilicate wool. Silly cat. I'm gonna start extracting our tin ingots into molten tin. And this should be our 16 copper nickel coils. 16 copper nickel coil blocks unlocks the EBF, which is like kind of our first goal throughout the entirety of LV. So let us set this bad boy up. There's a couple of considerations we need to make in order to get this working. So let's do electric blast furnace here, like the actual controller. Put the input hatch on the side. We'll put the input bus here, the output bus here. That should be pretty easy. I'm gonna put our 2 energy hatches right here, and I will show you guys why in a bit. We need to do something in order to minimize cable loss, and we need to use cables with this because each of these takes 2 amps of energy, which means that we have 4 amps total, meaning 32 times 4 is 128 EU per tick, which allows us to do medium voltage recipes. So let's put the maintenance hatch way back here. And then our coils go next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The actual multi-block itself is pretty picky. The only thing you can really put up here is like an output hatch for fluids, very specific fluids. The muffler hatch, and make sure that the muffler is pointing to an open block. There should be nothing blocking this muffler. And that should form our EBF. You'll see that the textures become green. It is good, except it needs some maintenance. And then let's also hook up these energy hatches while we're here. I'm gonna put our basic steam turbines here, 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 and here. And there's a reason why we're doing this so close is because our current cables have losses. And most of our recipes, like the aluminum recipe, are so close to 256 EU per tick that if we incur too many losses from a long cable, that will cause us to power fail our recipe and lose our items. So you'll want to set up your generators very close to your energy hatches. I'm going to crouch and then right click that to add it to the back. And then we're gonna right click up here. I'm just gonna make sure that that's facing upward. Perfect. So that should be getting energy now. And all we need to do is get the tools we need to do maintenance on this. So that's a crowbar, a hammer, soft mallet, screwdriver. Oh, we need to make a soldering iron. I forgot about that. And then a wrench. So we'll do that. 2, 3, 4. Not enough soldering material. We don't need to use soldering alloy wire, right? Valid soldering materials are either fine wires, rods, and ingots made from either tin, lead, or soldering alloy. We could just use tin. Holy moly, that's actually a huge save here because antimony is very hard to come by. I would rather burn like 10 tin ingots than use any antimony. Yeah, that's free. And then let's hit it with our wrench. That's the last one. And look at you go. No maintenance issues, no valid recipe found. Let's give this thing a recipe, shall we? The way we're gonna do this is with cryolite dust and alumina dust. And the route for alumina, which I have ascertained for us, is brick dust into alumina. I'm getting the cryolite dust from these snowbell seeds, which have a very small chance to drop a tiny bit of cryolite dust. And we toggle this on to wake it up. And look at you go. Look at you go. With aluminum in hand, we now have only one more goal to get to MV, which is the MV circuit. To make each MV circuit, we need 3 LV circuits, a new circuit board, and most importantly, diodes, which contain gallium arsenide. Luckily, XP Crafting saves us once again, providing us with a very inefficient recipe for both gallium and arsenic. Throwing this back in our electric blast furnace gives us a gallium arsenide crystal, which we can macerate down into dust for our diodes. Diodes, circuit boards, and a smattering of other components get combined to make our first MV circuit. Good electronic circuit. I used to pray for times like these. And that is our first medium voltage circuit of the run right there. I think that's everything to get us into MV. If you guys are excited as I am, we've been doing this for a while, but here is the MV machine casing straight into the MV machine hull. And that, oh my god. That is loud. But here we are, chat, finally. Oh my god, look at our base. We're doing good. Let's see how many hours we have right now. We have 75 hours to get to medium voltage, which is, what am I calling it? Is that tier 3? In Superflat survival. This is what our base looks like right now. We've got the new area. It's all wood. It'll burn down in a flash. We've got some crops over here. We've got the very legendary and classic XP auto crafter. All of this stuff was needed in order to get us to MV. I've been editing this for far too long, so I'm going to make this a little quicker than normal. Like, subscribe, comment, join my Discord, and let me know if you enjoyed this video. You know the drill. My name is Nine, and remember to be kind to yourself and others, and do the best that you can. And the absurd experience that is life, meaning, is what you make it. Peace.
Welcome back. For this next segment, we spend a while jumping off a tower to create dirt block. Yes, I'm fine. Pay no attention, that was Ducky being concerned.